Hello and welcome along to HTML Basics with your host Robert Smith. In this video, part 3 of how to create a two-column layout template using Dreamweaver with CSS and HTML. Let's see where we're up to. What we've done so far. In video 1 we styled our compound tags and our HTML and our body tag. In video 2 we inserted our div, our classes like this. So let's have a look where we're up to. I'm going to preview this in Safari, and as you can see, they're my div tags that have been placed on the page, but they've got no styling, so they just want to go and sit up in the top left hand corner, and because they're block elements, in other words they want to start a new line, they just want to sit underneath each other like that. That's natural behavior without any styling, or you might call that normal content flow, which is a term I might use in upcoming videos. In other words, things want to just they will work according to the laws of the browser. Okay, so let's go in and get to styling. Now, each one of these divs, the div tags like this, if I go to split view, so I can see what's going on like that. If I was to style the div tag now, they would all take that. And so let's just do a demo of that. So I'm going to go plus like this, and I'm going to get a tag and the div tag, and I'm going to go OK. I'm going to make the box say 100 by 100 pixels with a background color of whatever, doesn't matter, green will do. Let's go OK, see what that does. Now see what's happened. Every one of those divs is now 100 by 100 pixels and all green. That's no good. We want them all to be separate, different sizes. So to do that, I'll just get rid of that div tag by going over here, or that div CSS rule, and just bidding it or trashing it, and we're back where we started from. And that's why, if I go back to code view, we're associating each div with its own class. And now we can style that class so they can look all individual or different, if you like. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, let's go to split view, and I'm going to go over here. I'm going to add, this time it's going to be a class, because don't forget we're styling a class, not a tag this time. This class is associated with a div, and the one we want is not footer. Now we want the dot header like this. So if I press dot, you always have to start a class in this new CSS rule dialog box with a full stop, so header like that, and we want it inside the index CSS, and OK. So let's get to styling. Okay, the first thing you want to do is go to our box and work out how big, how wide, and how high we want it to be. So I'm going to make it 960, the same width as it's containing, the body tag that's containing it, like that. I'm going to give it a height of 128 pixels, like that. And I'm also going to give it a background color of white, like this, by clicking on there, and I'll go back to my box. In my margin, I'm going to deselect same for all, and in the bottom I'm going to give it a 10 pixel margin, so it'll be separated from the next div down. So let's have a look what that looks like. I'm going to click apply. Fantastic, that's what we want. I'm going to go OK. Let's preview that in Safari. Save that, and yes, we'll save that. And there it is. There's my header div, or division if you like. That's where my header graphic's going to go. Fantastic, so let's continue. Next one I'm going to do is the navigation. So if I just put my cursor in there anywhere, click on plus like this, see it knows straight away I want to make a class called navigation because I had my cursor there. I want to make a class navigation in index.css, which is exactly what I want. Now I'm going to do the same with the box. I'm going to make the width 960 pixels wide like that, and I'm going to make the height 40 pixels like this, and also a margin across the bottom again of 10 pixels like that, and a background color of white. You have any background color you like, I'm just keeping it consistent, and I'm going to click OK, and there it is. Let's have a look at that in Safari. Apple R to refresh that. Safari gets a bit cranky sometimes when you preview it. Apple R just refreshes the page, and there it is. That's where our navigation is going to go, in there. Fantastic. Okay, let's go to our content left and do the same thing. Now, Here is where it becomes different. Up to this point, these two divs will sit exactly on top of each other because they're exactly the same width. They're 960 pixels high. They fit perfectly on top of each other like this. But this content left is just that little bit different. It's going to be what's called floated. And what floating means is that it's a subject of a whole video, but basically what it does, it takes it out of the normal flow and just puts it on the left-hand side. Think of it something like set left if you're using InDesign or Illustrator when you've got typography and you get a line of type and you set it on the left-hand side with a ragged right. And that's what we're going to do. It's much the same thing here. So I'm going to go to content left here. I'm going to click on plus like that, and Dreamweaver knows it's a class. It's associated with a div. It's content left, and it's going in index. That's great. That's what we want. Now, this time we want a box of 624 pixels. This will be the width of that column, if you like, 624 pixels, like that. And also, I'm going to give it a height this time of 816. Now, that's going to change. I'm only going to give it a height so we can see it at this stage while we're making our template. That's going to change depending on how much content we put in our content left. And I'm going to give it a background color of white, like this. And the thing I'm going to do to this is something called floating. Now, floating is the equivalent of setting it on the left. And again, I'll cover this in class, both in class and in another video. It can be quite a complicated process, but at its basic level, it simply means grab that div tag and put it on the left-hand side. So, okay, let's click on left like this. Very nice. And let's click OK. So let's have a look at what that looks like. Let's do it in Chrome. Chrome doesn't need to refresh. Aha, as you can see now, it's made a div tag or a division like that, and it's put it on the left-hand side because we told it to float left. And you'll notice that the content right div now, because it's been taken out of what's called normal flow, the content right div has just come up alongside it like this, and that's going to be to our advantage. So let's just get rid of that. Now let's do a content right the same way we did a content left. I'm going to click in there like that, click plus. I'm going to put a content right, it's a class, that's correct, and OK, like this. And in the box, I'm going to make this width 326 pixels, like that. And I'm going to make the height 816 too, just for the, again, to keep it equal to the other column, if you like. 816 like that. I'm going to put a margin on the bottom of 10 pixels, which will separate that from the footer, like this. And this time, I'm going to put a background color of white. And in the box, I'm going to float this time to the right. In other words, we want this to stick to the right-hand side of its container or its body tag that's containing these divs, like that. And let's apply that and have a look at it. Great, so we've got a float left and a float right, and again, floating needs a lot more explanation than I'm giving in this video, and I hopefully will make a video to do that for you. But it simply means we take this div tag and we take it out of the normal flow and we just put it on the left hand side, and we put this div tag on the right hand side. Simple as that. And because the two figures that we're using here for the content left is 624 and the content right is 326, and our whole width is 960 pixels, that means we've got 10 pixels left over in the middle here for a margin. Now that sounded a bit like maths, didn't it? But that's about as hard as it gets in HTML, just adding up a couple of numbers to see what they add up to and see how much margin they leave, things like that. So if you're a bit scared of maths, like most of us are, okay, don't be worried about that. They're quite simple calculations, and we'll look at those in more depth later. Okay, we've got one more to go, which is the footer, the class called footer, and I'm going to click plus like this. Now it knows the class footer. So let's have a look at the footer. Now the height in the box, we're going to make it 100 pixels, like that. Sorry, that's the width. And the height, we're going to make it, and the footer, we'll make it say we'll make the width 960, of course. Silly of me. We have to make it the same width of the parent container, the body tag. And the height, we're going to make 100 pixels, like that. And the background color, we're going to make white, like this. Now, we have to do something here, which is a bit technical and a bit scary for this part of the video. We've floated the two divs on top of it, one left and one right. And what's happening? Well, the foot is really confused now. It doesn't know where to put itself. So what we want to do is we want to put it back into what's called the normal flow. And how we do that, once we've floated a couple of elements above it, the next element we put in this case the div class called footer, I'm going to go where it says clear here and just clear both, like that. And what that does, it says, okay, you two guys, you've floated left and right, but I want to go back into the normal flow. And that's what clearing does. It puts it back into the normal flow. Let's have a look at that. Great, and there's our footer across the bottom. And I'm going to save that and have a look at it, like this. So let's preview it in Chrome. And yes, there it is. There's our layout. You'll notice that there's 10 pixel margins between everything, like that. That's the margins we put in. Our content for the header is going to go in here. Our navigation bars are in here. On the left hand side, we're going to have some pictures go in there. We're going to have text go on the right hand side and some text go across in the footer. Now you'll notice that the page just keeps on going. That's our body tag. I think you remember we started by saying to make that 2000 pixels. When we've actually added our content, we'll just make that the right size. But right now, we'll just leave it the way it is. So there it is. There's our our two-column layout template using Dreamweaver and HTML and CSS. In the next series of videos, we're going to populate these div areas with content and end up with a 4-page website. Look forward to that. Okay, thanks for watching.